You know, we've all been there. You've got this mountain of complex research, and you know it's important, but turning it into a story that actually gets people to listen, let alone change their minds, that is a huge challenge. But here's the good news. It's not impossible. Today, we're going to break down that whole process, step by step, and show you how to get from a simple question to a powerful conviction. So this is really the question at the heart of it all, isn't it? I mean, it's one thing to have all the data and be technically correct, but it's a completely different ballgame to be persuasive. How do you make your argument actually land with real impact? It's all about turning that raw information into something that actually makes people want to act.
All right, so before we even think about touching a single data point, we have to get really clear on our ultimate goal. Look, the point of all this hard work isn't just to share a bunch of facts on a slide, it's to influence an outcome. It's about mastering the art of persuasion.
To be truly persuasive, you've got to understand a little bit about human psychology. And Robert Cialdini's famous principles are basically the roadmap. Think about it. When you present quotes from experts, you're tapping into authority. When you use survey data that shows 8 out of 10 people agree, that's leveraging social proof. And if you highlight a really unique finding that nobody else has, that's scarcity. See, your research isn't just data. It's a powerful tool you can use to activate these deep psychological triggers. So, we've set our goal on influence. Great. But where in the world do we start? Well, it all begins with the foundation, your research philosophy. Now, I know that sounds super academic, but it's not. It's simply the fundamental lens you use to see the world. And trust me, it shapes every single choice you're about to make.
Okay, don't let these words scare you. The ideas behind them are actually pretty simple. Ontology just asks, what's the nature of reality? For example, does a mountain exist as one single objective, measurable fact? Or is the mountain just an idea that's shaped by culture and our own personal experiences? And then epistemology follows up and asks, so how do we know? Do we get out our instruments and measure the mountain's exact height, or do we interview people to understand what the mountain means to them? Your answers to those two questions define your entire approach.
And this is where it all clicks together. A great way to think about your research is like an onion. On the very outer layer, you've got your philosophy, those core beliefs we just talked about. And every layer you peel back to get to the center, your approach, your strategy, and finally your specific methods, is determined by that outer philosophical layer. It all flows from the outside in.
So here's where the rubber meets the road. If you're a realist, you believe that facts are out there just waiting to be discovered. That means you're probably going to use methods to measure and quantify that single reality. But if you lean more towards nominalism, you believe reality is subjective, it's created by us. So you're going to use methods that explore all those different individual experiences and interpretations. Your starting belief literally dictates your entire toolkit.
Okay, so once your philosophy is set, you can move on to the next phase, the investigation. This is where you get to select the right tools to go out into the world and gather the evidence you need to build your case. Ah, the classic distinction. Quantitative is all about the numbers, the how many and how much. It's fantastic for testing a hypothesis on a really big scale. Qualitative, on the other hand, is about the meaning, the why, and how. It's perfect for exploring complex ideas with a smaller group of people. The key here is to stop seeing them as rivals. They're just two different toolkits for answering two different kinds of questions. But you know what? The most powerful approach is often to combine them. Why choose just one tool when you can use both? For example, you could start with some in-depth interviews, that's qualitative, to really understand why customers are unhappy. Then you can use those insights to build a big survey, that's quantitative, to see exactly how many of your customers share those same feelings. This mixed methods approach is amazing because it gives you both the what and the why. So, you've got your philosophy straight. You've gathered all your evidence. Now comes what might be the most critical part of this whole journey, turning all that raw material into a story that's coherent and really compelling. For that, you need a blueprint. And that blueprint is the pyramid principle. Honestly, this is the gold standard for clear, persuasive communication. So, instead of building up to a conclusion like you learned in school, you start with it. You state your main takeaway, your core message right at the very top. Then, you support that message with your main arguments. And finally, you back up each of those arguments with your hard data. It is so direct, so logical, and incredibly effective. Now, there are two main ways you can build your pyramid. The first is grouping, and it's super direct. It's like saying, we should launch product X for 3 reasons, A, B, and C. This is perfect for an audience that's already kind of on your side. But if you've got a skeptical audience, you need the argument structure. That sounds more like this. Our market is changing. Because of this, we're facing a new threat. Therefore, we must launch Product X to counter it. See how each step builds logically on the last? It makes your conclusion feel absolutely inevitable.
All right, we've made it to the final mile of our journey. You've done the research, you've built the story, now you have to deliver it. And you have to do it in a way that truly lands and inspires people to take action.
Please never, ever forget this. Data, all by itself, is dry. It's forgettable. But data wrapped up in a story? That's what people connect with. That's what they remember. Stories are the vehicles that carry your facts right into the hearts and minds of your audience. Now, this might just be the most counterintuitive slide for anyone who works with data. We focus so much on the logic, the logos, but Aristotle knew, and modern psychology confirms, that emotion, or pathos, is more than twice as powerful when it comes to actually persuading someone. Your data doesn't just need to be right, you need to make the audience feel that it's right. Ever wonder why TED Talks are always capped at 18 minutes? Well, it's because research shows that's pretty much the ideal length to hold someone's attention and deliver a serious message without causing what scientists call cognitive backlog. That's just a fancy way of saying the brain gets full and just stops processing new information. So keep it focused and respect your audience's attention span.
And here is another magic number for you, the rule of 3. For whatever reason, our brains are just wired to process and remember information best when it comes in chunks of 3. Just think about it. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Stop, look, and listen. Whenever you can, structure your key messages in 3s. It'll make them so much more memorable.
This is a huge one. It's a critical lesson from the absolute best presenters out there. Your slides are not your script. They are a visual backdrop. That's it. If you fill a slide with text, what happens? Your audience will immediately start reading it, which means they've completely stopped listening to you. Use one powerful image or one big idea and let your voice tell the rest of the story.
And really, all of this brings it together. The modern path to persuasion, what Gare Reynolds calls presentation zen, is built on these 3 pillars. Restraint in your preparation. Don't include everything, just what's absolutely essential. Simplicity in your design. Keep it clean, keep it clear. And naturalness in your delivery. Talk to people like you're having a conversation, not giving a lecture. So after all of that, from defining your philosophy to crafting the final delivery, we end up right back here. The data you've worked so hard to gather isn't just a pile of facts. It's the raw material for a compelling story, a story that can make a real difference. So the only question left is, are you ready to be its storyteller?